Yo, Salaam nerds. It's your boy Neves, aka Watch with Neves. I'm here with my co-host Jazz, aka Jazzy Circus.
Jazzy Circus. You know what? I accept it
Let's do
because
it.
Andy. Oh my god!
The man brought it. The man brought
Wow!
it. Right?
Oh, that speech.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. But before we do, we want to introduce our guest. So this is somebody who we found in the comments. So listen, guys, if you are watching our show on YouTube and you're in the comment section and you're throwing out zingers and jokes and comments, we might just bring you on because that's what we did with Pat. Pat, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me here. I'm so glad I found you guys through JJ. And
Yeah,
it's been great listening to your podcast and listening to you guys talk. It's been great.
it's been awesome, man. I remember us doing some call it videos with JJ, and you're just throwing out some fire jokes, some fire
Oh my
content.
god! Just left and right. I was like, oh my god, who is this guy?
No pressure though, because now you got to do it on the show. Now you
I
got to
know.
bring that same level of wit on the show. Oh man, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a TikTok Star Wars creator. So I go as a screen name, sir. That's my app for TikTok. At St. Pat Separatist Rebel.
Hmm, cool.
And I Separatist Rebel because one, I love Rogue One, one of my favorite movies, stuff, and I'm a what I call a separatist apologizer because I'm a history teacher,
Ah,
and I got my background in Egyptology and study the ancient Near um, East, and so I'm all about disseminating um, political philosophies and political ideologies and powers within society. And so I come up with a thing like if you if you look at the point of view of just ideology, the separatists were right, but taking out of the context that Palpatine manipulated everything and led all the pressures up to the separatist ideology. Um, that's a whole other thing. But within the context of just being a person in Star Wars and you have the Republican separatists, from just the political side of point of view, the separatists had were the correct ideology in my point of view.
okay. I
And
kind of want to go into this. I kind of want to know more. I want to
and
know
Oh
then
more.
yeah, please explain.
and that's why I love Rogue One a lot because um Cassian Andor has loose ties with the separatists, and he
Mm,
says he's been in this fight since he was 6 9 years old, and I love that because the majority, if you look at a political landscape of this the Galactic Civil War, the Imperial um area of control and the Imperial forces and Imperial uh majority is the core worlds. Everyone else is the outer rim, and that's where do the separatists have holds? The separatist worlds were the outer rim. They
right,
were
right.
Hmm.
and they were oh sorry, train of thought. Okay. So and they're a huge chunk of the rebellion are worlds that were separatist worlds and they got folded into the rebellion because it's the same fight. It's the exact same
Mm,
thing that they just they saw the empire as when it was still the Galactic Republic,
right,
and so
right.
and they're saying that this is where it's going, so we're getting out of here because it's harming our people. So that's what we're going to do. So they left um, from the political, just the political perspective, taking out the context of the Sith and the dark side and Palpatine. Um,
So, who are some famous separatist characters that we know of?
well, Cassian has a tie-in, and then in the show they mentioned a separatist leader when
Right.
when Luthen was talking with Saw. Um, so that's a big one. We don't really have
Krieger.
Krieger, right.
yeah, Krieger. We don't have that solid connection between the formation, the end of the separatists, and the formation of the rebellion. And this is why I'm loving this show because you're getting those little tie-ins. Like the separatists, they still exist because
Mhm.
after the Clone Wars ended, the Imperials went on a war of reconquest,
Mm,
recon- reconquesting and bringing all the separatist worlds, trying to bring all the separatist worlds back and fold. And we see that in the Bad Batch season 1, where we go to Raxus, which was the capital planet
Oh, that's right. We do.
uh, of the Separatist alliance. Um, so it's also interesting if you think it, because all these mid-rim and outer rim territories, planets that were part of the Republic, were planets that had been colonized in previous centuries by inner worlds, and so
Mm.
they're alien species, or barren planets that were settled by things and then emitted into the Republic that way, and through
Oh,
Wow.
that's a lot of stuff right there. Wow. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go have to watch Bad Batch again, and hopefully we get to see more of Krieger, because I feel like that's coming up. So I'm really excited to
well,
see him.
I feel like Krieger. I don't think we're going to see Krieger, because Luthien is offering him up to the sacrifice.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, we still might get a glimpse of him, but let's start this show off with the bang, because this show just started off with crazy. We see Andy Serkis' character, and he is still a little hesitant, and he's still like processing like what happened, and he's like, "Fuck it, we're doing this. We're doing this. We're doing it live." And like he kind of like agrees in the last episode, but like he's like, "Okay, I'll help," but then he also like, "No, we got to do this now. Like it's tomorrow. It's like there's no time to waste." And that's where we get this like sense of doom, and there's like a time limit, which kind of makes like the stakes higher, which I thought was really really cool. And then we get the prison break. Jazz, what are your thoughts about the prison break?
Oof. So, what I love about this show is we know what's going to happen with Rogue One, and
Right.
we know how it's all eventually going to lead to uh Cassian and this one other guy here, like how they're going to become rebel allies.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing them go from just being in prison to becoming rebel leaders eventually. Like this show is showing us the beauty of how a rebellion can start, and how it's, to quote Cassian, rebellions are built on hope, right?
Right.
You see them build this whole thing up here with this prison break. I mean, it's just beautiful. Like this episode should get an Emmy, quite frankly.
I agree. I agree. It
Oh
was it's gave me some Michael Scofield vibes when he's out there with the plumbing and bringing the
hmm
water. I thought that was really cool. It was definitely exciting. What about you, Pat?
Oh, I love Andy Serkis and character, and Cassian's Andor's chemistry and relationship that they have had through this like mini arc within the episodes, because they go from being like he's this high like authority figure within the level, and Cassian is just trying to keep his head down away from him, to like they're becoming like acquaintances, and now Cassian is being his right hand man and helping him lead a prison
Yeah.
break,
hmm
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and like, and it's so great because like Cassian is the one that's giving his character the hope to
Right.
break out, and the fire to break out, and we've known that like Cassian's had this plan since like started forming since he got in,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he's been working at that pipe. He's figured out how to short circuit the system, but like he knows he can't be the face, or he doesn't
Right.
trust himself to be the face. So he goes with the guy who's already has the authority and the respect of leadership on the level.
And this
And
Yeah.
is a callback to Rogue One as well, where I believe it was Jane Urso who also said, rebellions are built on hope.
Yeah.
And so you see both Cassian and sorry, not Cassian, uh, Andy Serkis' character and Jane Urso
Mm.
both like uh, call
Start to
back
relate.
to right what Cassian was saying, and so it's like it's a really cool way they're tying all this together.
It's really interesting because we definitely get to see Cassian Andor's character, right? Like he in the beginning, he doesn't care about anybody. He doesn't have hope. He doesn't have anything, right? And then he gets
hmm
with the people of Aldani, and then he gets like this glimmer of hope and what could happen. And then he actually learns to act as a team, because he's always solo. He's never doing everything by himself. And then we see him become part of a team, and he uses all of that stuff in the Prison Break, how to be a team, how to do his like ingenuity, but also how to inspire people, right? And he really got that from working together in his little team that he had. And I thought it's really cool the way that brought together. And then we see Andy Serkis' speech. Bro, this is one of the best speeches in
Of
Star
all time.
Wars.
Of all time.
And
Like,
It was
just
so
forget
good.
Star Wars. It's
and
ever.
my favorite part of that speech is that anytime like he didn't know what to say, he would look over at Cassian, and Cassian would give him a nod of encouragement, like, "You can do this. Just keep going. You do this
No,
all the time."
you know what I love about that? Usually people just give off a great speech off the top of the dome. Andy Serkis starts off a little rough, and then he goes like, "Is that the best you got? Give me more." Like, I've never seen that done in an inspirational speech. It's usually like they're inspirational all the way through. In this
No.
one, it was more realistic. It was like he tried and he couldn't do enough of it, and then he got encouragement from Andor, and then he's like found the words, right? It was beautiful, man. Oh God, I love
And
that
just his
scene so
emotions,
much.
like his facial expressions in that speech, like just staring at him. First, he's like kind of nervous, and then he just flips to his anger, like, "Yo, they killed 100 of us."
Yes.
Like you could feel the emotion. Like, it's outstanding performance here.
And I love it because like the first thing you hear him say, like, "I'm almost out," and then he goes into that thing like, "We're never getting out of here."
No,
Yeah.
he's like, this is our best shot, right? And like when he says it, people really believe him. But like the way the camera zooms on his face, though, like you can see like every flinch in his
Mm-hmm.
like freaking like like that guy does like, every wrinkle in his forehead is like there with like purpose. It's like so wild how good his facial expressions are.
And
That was amazing.
that's been probably my favorite thing about the cinematography of the show, is that it's not like these wide cinematic shots.
Yeah.
It's these personal up close, and it's like you're standing right next to him with Cassian.
Yeah.
And then like my favorite thing also when we go into the control room is like, because you always hear the controller voice has been this robotics thing, but it's
Yeah.
just being a guy behind a dub mic.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Like
it's
that's not his
like,
real voice. It's just anybody.
he's just it's just a scrawny white guy behind a modularized mic,
Yeah.
like it's like you see on these social medias. It's like,
Yeah, that's really funny. And the other thing is like the way he gave up his homies so fast. Oh, I don't control the water generation, but he does. He gave
Yeah,
them
right.
up
Like
so quick.
and the guy in charge is like, "Don't give up, don't give up anything," and the guys just look at each other. You're like, "No, we're being shot at. No."
Yeah. And then we see like the other soldiers like hiding in a corner. They're really scared. It was really interesting to see, and I thought that was really, really cool.
My favorite thing is about like, because they give you, the guards project so much confidence and security when
Right.
handling the presidents, when we see them, and then as soon as that the floor, the one thing keeping them in power is gone, they
Right.
lose all sense of security. And
they cower so quick. It was hilarious. Like
That was
every
good.
single guard was like, "Oh, wait a second. It's 49 on 12?"
Yep. And Andy Serkis's Captain America speech didn't help because they were like, "Oh crap! Now he's got everyone riled up."
Right. Like the
uh,
moment that one guy just put his feet on the ground, he trusted him. He's like, "Oh,
It's
oh,
over.
this is happening." And then
Uh,
every rebel immediately knew, was like, "No, well, like now, let's go.
this
Like let's go, all of us. Let's go."
this is one of my favorite prison breaks of like
Hmm.
and I love.
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I would say like as a TV trope, like whenever they do prison breaks and stuff, this is one of my top 10, like easily.
Easily.
I love the design of the prison too. It's like
Yeah.
one of the best prison designs ever, because it takes like, so I can't remember the name of the prison, but you see it almost in every like this dystopian or authoritarian design, because it is more like, it's a sense of controlling, where prisoners are on the outside, and then the people, and then the guards are in the inside so they can see everything. But the way it's like, the prisoners are only connected by these tiny archways and
Yeah.
walkways to the, and so it's like, it's more controlled than just the guards seeing them. it's the controlling how they move about.
Yeah. The other thing is this, I didn't know that the prison was like in the middle of like the ocean. I had no idea. I didn't know that's where it was.
Oh, I think
And
they showed like a shot of that when they
did they?
first got
I
there. Yeah.
I must have forgotten. I must have forgotten that they were on an island because like I had no idea. And that shot of them leaving, as you can see them swimming, and then it pulls up, and you can see like they're like, oh, they escaped from like three sides. You're like, oh, that's such a
I
beautiful shot.
I have expected a Star Wars Jaws to come up at the prisoners as they start swimming. It's like they're starting to swimming and it's like
Yeah. But listen, let's get to the sad part. Let's get to the sad part because when they turn to Andy Serkis and he goes, "I can't swim," yo, my heart dropped. My heart just dropped.
I
Like,
wanted to cry, man.
and the fact that like they pushed him over, he couldn't even help him. He's like you can't swim. Let me grab him and like help him. I don't know. I'm not a lifeguard, but like I'm sure like somebody could have helped him. Like somebody could have done it.
you know, I mean I was a Boy Scout, so I was saved in. One of my merit badges was life saving, and so he could have if Cassian jumped with him or been able to pick him out as he jumped, he would have been able to swim with him to shore.
I think so.
System. Or like get 2 or 3 guys to be like right next to them, you know, like
Just doggy paddle and like you'll get there. You'll get there.
And especially since he was the one who's telling people not to leave anyone behind.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh man, it was sad. He did say that he was like, "Listen, if somebody falls down, pick them up, help each other, right?" And then he was the one that got left behind, which we don't know though. Maybe he's got to survive.
Well,
like
I saw a tweet. I don't know. I have to go back and see the source, but it looked like one of the writers or someone said we don't see him actually die.
We don't. We don't actually see him die.
Okay.
So is he dead?
We don't know. Yeah. That scene really did make me cry because like when you're listening to that speech and how inspirational it is and how he says like there's only one way out.
Yeah.
And then he knows he can't swim at that moment. Like he knows he can't swim in that speech. It just made it hit so much more. Like
yeah, swimming is a life skill. Everybody should learn it. And like Muslim people especially, Muslim people do not know how to swim, especially Muslim women.
I don't know how to swim.
Muslim women especially, right? Because there's not a safe place for them to learn how to swim. So listen, do yourself a favor to learn to swim. It could save your life.
I know how to float. I took a couple swimming classes back in the day. I do not know how to swim.
I learned to swim from polar bears. I was watching the Discovery Channel. I'm like, these fat motherfuckers can do it. I can do it.
If you can float, you can swim. It's just you don't have to have a perfect technique. You keep your head above water.
It'll take me a minute to like figure out how to kick my legs and eventually start like slowly moving. But that's enough to survive, which is good enough for me.
Yeah, doggy paddling is easy. That's super easy. You're basically just crawling in water, and if you keep your head above water, like you'll get there slowly, but you'll get there
eventually. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So enough about life-saving techniques. Let's talk about. You know what I want to talk about real quick before we get into the big stuff. I want to talk about how Mothma was in the negotiating about this little bank situation, and this guy comes up and he's like, "No, I don't want your money." And she's like, "Well, I don't really want to owe you a favor." And she's like, "No, I just want to be invited back with my eligible son." I did not see that coming. That came out of nowhere. This is like a Bollywood movie now.
This is right there. Like
this is some Rishta shit. This is wild. I was like, when did this happen? This show gives you everything.
It does, and I love that so much.
Oh man. So basically, she's from this culture where they do like arranged marriages, because apparently her husband and her have some kind of arranged marriage too. Because you can see they like respect each other, but they don't really love each other, is what it feels like. And for every episode, they've been hyping up like her daughter. Like for some reason, they keep showing her daughter. They keep showing the relationship. It's a little like fragile, and you don't know why. And now you see this, and you're like, oh. Now it all comes together. Now we know why they kept showing the daughter. Now they know why they kept showing her relationship with her being a little conflicted. And now she has to decide if she wants to do this for her daughter or risk being found out and the money not being laundered, all that stuff. Jazz, what are your thoughts?
I mean, it's a tough place for a politician. Like It's like, I mean, uh, uh, like, oh, this hits close to home because like my family's almost in a situation like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like my mom was, she did have an arranged marriage, and it was between her initial suitors were like three guys, but they were like close to my grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
And then because my grandpa knew he was gonna like cause a fight with everybody, he married my mom off to my dad. And
Mm-hmm.
he was like the random guy from from malaria. And I was like, how did this happen? Well, that's what it was. It was like a situation like that, right? But then now I'm seeing this, and I'm like, oh my god, the politics of this. This is real. Like this is close to my home. Like I've never seen a portrayal like this on TV. This is cool,
I never thought I would see a Rishta on Star Wars. That just came out of nowhere, bro.
right? Like it's
Yeah,
it
Pat,
hit close to home there.
See,
yeah,
like I see my thing about it is like he broke the criminal underworld guy kept talking about the affluence of it. Like he kept
mhm,
saying that this is a tradition because of our status,
right.
and so it gave us an insight into Chandrilan culture that I didn't know we would get, because
Mhm.
we got the little blurb that she was married off at 16,
Hmm.
Yep.
one month herself. I'm like, okay, um, but now like we know that it's specifically because she has a certain status, and her family has a certain status within
Mhm.
Chandrilan society, and so like it's just another thing. Like Mon Mothma, we never see what she has to sacrifice in
Mhm.
any of the Star Wars movies, and now we're seeing that she has this whole system and family that she has to
Yeah.
decide what is more important, her
Yeah.
values or her family.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true, and we see that like a lot of her money is tied up in like this family money that she has, but the old full the money that she's laundering, she is using her influence, her riches, everything for this rebellion,
Hmm.
and you can now she has come to the point where like she has sacrificed so much, and now she may even have to sacrifice her daughter, which is huge, bro. That's huge. That's just to go you like how important this rebellion was and how many sacrifices were required to make this rebellion happen. It's not just like one family having a like a discussion. It's not the Skywalkers and the
Right.
Solos, right? It's like the real people had to make a lot of sacrifices to make this rebellion happen, and I'm glad we get to see that. It's really cool.
It's kind of great because it feels like the Skywalkers just blundered into everything now.
Yes.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
they just stumbled and like instead of like Anakin like caused the mess, but like every other Skywalker just kind of just bumbled out on with in the waves that impacted, and they just happened to be where the Force needed them to be.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
There's too much plot armor with them, but with this,
With
like you
this, right?
see like how delicate the balance is, right? If one thing here went wrong, we wouldn't have any of Star Wars. Like
No.
everything hinges on every action in this show. And it's just so fascinating to see how they're making it all work.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of like sacrifices, man, a sacrifice that I didn't know was happening was homeboy Lonnie out here making
My
the
god, what a
sacrifices.
twist!
We learned about him, and I fell in love with him, and then like, I felt so bad for him in the same breath, yo, in the same breath. I was
See,
just like,
the way they're characterizing the ISB is my favorite thing about this show, because ISB, when you see it in any other media, it just feels like a security force. They're just there. They're just walking out. We know, that there are some SS type organization, but you don't really feel it
mm-hmm,
because they're in the shadows, or they're just on the side, and they come in to give um, plot motivations and stuff, especially in Thrawn.
mm-hmm.
But like now, you're seeing just how much they're interweaved into everything, and
Yeah,
what's with fascists and trench coats? Because
yo, it's a
every
vibe. It's a vibe.
they're always wearing trench coats, like
Yeah.
for
Trench coats
Tifa,
just look so official,
and
bro.
it's like it's because when you walk in wearing that trench coat, I'm like, oh, something is going to happen. Something was happening. And they're all watching that monitor, and they're so attentive and fixated
Yeah.
on everything. And then we get this turncoat or the spy with inside the ISB, which is supposed to be independent. It is the security, the Secret Service of it. They're supposed to be seal proof, and then Luthien got someone inside.
Yeah, it's really interesting because you really get to learn about how the grooming of it worked, right? Like they got him in there, they groomed him, they set him up for this position, but they also sacrifice a lot of intel to
Mm-hmm.
get him where he is. That means like this whole time, Luton's been like doing these little spy runs, but also betraying his own people just to get this guy higher up the ranks. Like they've been feeding this guy information so he can tell on them, so he can go up the ranks. And Luton's just been like sacrificing his own people over and over again in these little small things. And now he's going to do it again to Krieger. And I'm just
Yep.
like, we really find out that like Luton is like in his own right a villain. Like he's crazy. He's like
This is the Turing Project all over again.
this is Machiavellian, right? Like this is
Yeah.
wild.
Like I remember the Turing Project, how the Allies did figure out the code for the Axis, especially because like they knew that the first sentence was the same every time, but then they had to always let them get away with sometimes killing their own people just so they don't tip off that they know everything.
Right.
Like this was a really cool callback to that. I mean, Star Wars is based on a lot of history, so
Yeah.
No.
like this is fascinating to see how Luthien has to play this role here.
It's so wild, right? And like a lot of it is making me think like, this is how like terrorists think in the world, right? And that's just like their mindset. And they're just like, I don't care how many people we got to kill. We have this mission and we got to do it. The rebels are essentially getting closer and closer to being like terrorists in this show. And like, I'm glad that they're showing that. It makes it less clear cut. It makes it more like, I don't know. It's just like complex and complicated.
Yeah, no, because like in Rogue One, when Cassian says, "I've done terrible things in the name of the rebellion," you're like, at first you're like, "How the rebellion's a good thing? How can they do terrible things?" And I'm like, and we know Saw is an anarchist, so
yeah,
so that makes sense what he does, but like, how can the rebellion? But now we see it, and it's like Luthien has become my favorite character of the show besides Cass.
Yeah, for sure.
But like the acting, bro, his acting when he stood there and goes like, "What have I sacrificed? Everything," and then he just like lists all these things. Like, yo, like I know Andy Serkis did an amazing job, but like to get two performances like that in one show, like what is this?
You thought Andy Serkis' performance was good? Hold up, just hold my beer. Let me show you. Like,
hold my blue milk.
Hold my blue milk, right? Yeah, like let's go.
Like, it felt like Luthien was like, I'm a huge musical fan, and one of my favorite musical is Les Mis. I felt like Luthien was Javert.
Yep.
When he's doing his soliloquies.
Oh, his soliloquy was amazing. Where he goes like, "What do you sacrifice?" He goes like, "Calm, kindness, kingship, love, my inner peace." I was like, "Oh shit, bro, keep going, bro, keep going." It was so good. It was so good. I want to read off some of these comments. He goes like, "I have wiped my mind of a sunless place." Like that is a beautiful quote. That is a beautiful line. I'm damned for what I do. I yearn to be a savior of injustice, a savior for injustice, but without contemplating the cost. Like he knows all his flaws. He's like, I accepted it, man. I accepted it a long time ago. I am damned for this. I'm going to hell, but we need to do this. There's no other stuff. And then he says like, he is not going to be able to see the sunrise. Like he's burnt. I burn my life for a sunrise I'll never know. That is another amazing line.
That's
beautiful.
my favorite. That's my favorite line from this whole show, especially since.
And I was gonna say one more line. One more line I have to go up before I'll give it to you guys. The tools of my enemies is what I have to use to defeat them, bro.
Yeah.
Woo.
He has to go to the dark side.
bro, so good,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
Oh
just Pat, what
man,
were you saying?
Oh, because so the sunrise is my favorite thing because if you watch Rogue One, again, I love the connections to Rogue One.
I know
The
it's such a
oh
good
my god, oh, you're
thing. The
right.
sunrise, yes.
the blast from the Death Star on Scarif forces a sunset type
Mm-hmm.
background as Cassian and Jin are kneeling there, and Cassian never sees us the sunrise of what Luthien set him on, the path Luthien set him on.
Ooh,
I
ooh.
know it's so emotionally charged. Like even now, I'm getting goosebumps by this whole sequence. Like it's so
Yo,
beautiful.
it was so beautiful. That was so well written. That was so well acted. Like, it's one thing to just have like a scene well written, another one to be well written and well acted. Like,
And then
chef's kiss.
the
The music,
music, the
yes.
cinematography, just
The
everything about this
cinematography, the
show.
lighting, it was so good. Like, you really
Oh.
felt like, no, let this poor guy live his life. But then you're like, no, he kind of needs to stay. Like,
Mhm.
I kind of see your point. Like, and this guy just feeling trapped. He wants to go live with his wife and his daughter.
Oh,
But
like
like,
the rebel spy. Yeah, like oh my
yeah,
god, like so
like
so powerful.
I kind of see Luthen's point. And the reason I feel for Luthen so much is because we already have seen the destination. We know it
Mhm.
works, right? So like honestly, I don't know if I would be on his side if I didn't know. I'd be like, yo, you're doing too much for something that might not happen. But we know it happens, and we know it happens because of all these sacrifices that he made, which
Yep.
makes this show so complicated and complex, but so beautiful at the same time.
and
Asking the
and,
hard questions of your
and,
morality here.
and I love it because it really drives um, George Lucas' original message with the original trilogy because it was all about uh, the Viet Cong in the U.S. So
Right.
like,
Mhm.
and which is really the worst thing. And I'm reading. I have a book that I'm reading called Ho Chi Minh and the OSS, which was the CIA's predecessor.
Mm-hmm.
It's what it was. It's what turned into the CIA after World War II, and so the OSS was America's CIA, and we went in during World War II and set up Ho Chi Minh's Viet Cong. We trained them. We gave him because
Mm-hmm.
they were trying to fight for their rights, fight for their democracy, democratic freedom from colonizers, the French,
Right.
and also the Japanese who colonized on top of the French colonizing.
Mhm.
Um, and so it's a whole complicated ethics and moral section there with the Viet Cong. And so then so when it comes time for democratic elections, the U.S. says, no, we're canceling them because you guys are you guys go a different route of democratic thinking than we like, even though technically the Democratic Party is a little more corrupt than what Ho Chi Minh's party was forming. And so because just because they are labeled as communists, the Viet Cong is painted throughout all American history as being villains and evil, and
Yep.
they're demonized
Mm.
when they're just fighting. They're doing whatever it takes, like Luthen, to fight for their home.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know, man. This episode, it, this show. One of the things that I really like about the show is that it's not one of those shows that just give you like action after action. It leads up to it. It makes you earn it, right? And like ever since like the Eldani what you call it heist, it's just been upping the game. Every episode just gets better and better and upping the heights and the stakes, and it's just really, really good. And I was like, last episode I thought it was amazing, and I was like, there's no way they're gonna top that. I watched this episode, I'm like, whoa, this is
They topped it like
amazing.
3 times separately. Like,
There's so many times where I'm like, they're not gonna top this episode, and they keep doing it. Like,
yeah.
it's just so good.
It makes me
Fantastic.
so excited for the finale of the season.
I know. 2 more episodes.
I feel like the finale is gonna have a huge cliffhanger, which is gonna leave us a little bit unsatisfied.
And
Because
Mm-mm.
but it's gonna make us yearn for season 2 a lot more.
I think it's gonna be the right cliffhanger. Where
Yeah.
like we are somewhat satisfied, but we want more after that. because season 2 is not coming out till 2024. So
Oh, then they got to give us something satisfying because
right, like
that's
they're not
way
gonna
too
leave
long
us
of a wait.
on something unsatisfying for 2 years. It's gonna be a
Leave us on
satisfying
red.
end, but also more. Yeah, leave us on
Yeah.
red.
Yeah. Listen, it's hard to top these episodes because they're so good. But this is definitely
No.
one
I,
of the best Star Wars content out there. It's probably the best.
I'm convinced each episode is just gonna top up the previous one all the way through now.
There's
well,
2
I'm
left. There's only 2 left, right?
For this season, yes. And I think they're still gonna be amazing. They're just gonna keep one upping every episode behind it.
because I'm excited now because now Cassian has a partner for
Mm-hmm.
everything he does because that fellow prisoner that was on his group
Yeah.
is in
He's
the
very
rebellion
familiar,
with
isn't
him.
he?
And now we get to see that they have a relationship, and like all my mutuals and all the people I know who are watching this show have been saying that we're giving side characters throughout Star Wars, and now they're doing what the books have always in this show. What the books have always done is they're giving relationships and they're giving backgrounds to these characters. And so now when we see, I can't remember the character's name. I have to look up the name now. But like
I don't remember their name, but I know he was in Rogue One, and I know like he's going to we see him escaping with Andor at the very end, and I'm happy. I'm excited to see because Andor is definitely like, hey, I'm solo kind of guy. He's like, hey, I need you guys help to break out of jail, but after that, you're on your own, right? I don't think that's gonna happen. I think him and this guy are going to become best buds, and we're gonna get to see that. And then I'm gonna rewatch Rogue One and be so sad when I see them again.
because he's on Scarif with Andor. He follows him all the way to Scarif.
Oh, till the end of the line, man. I'm with you till the end of the line. That's some Captain America shit right there, man. Oh, so good, so good. All right, before we go, are there any last things we want to see? Anything else we didn't cover on this episode?
Any theories? Anything else?
I don't know what's next because it didn't leave us. Like, I don't know where they end up. I don't know what happens. I'm kind of like last episode, I'm like, okay, my theory is they're gonna break out of jail, they're gonna do this, or Andy Serkis is gonna be with them. After this episode, I feel like we need a new plot line for Andor, like because Luthen stuff is still going on, Mothma stuff is still going on. But does Andor go back to his mama?
They keep showing us Ferrix, and it's a quick sequence that we go back to Ferrix in this episode, and one of the community members talking to either a stormtrooper or a imperial officer talking about Marva and her pills.
Yeah, we saw
She's
that.
Sick. She's sick.
Marva's going to do something big because I
for
don't
sure.
I don't think she's frail. She doesn't.
No. She's planning something. She's got some ideas. Well, I'm excited to see what's next. But that's the end of our episode. Pat, thank you so much for joining us, man. We had a great time. Hope to see you more in the comments. You're always putting some great comments and some great jokes. Jazz, anything you want to say before we go?
Man, I'm just like fascinated. Like he's a history teacher. Like Pat is a history teacher, right?
Yeah.
And then he's explaining all his connections. Like, yeah, we got to bring this guy back on at some point. Like, this is cool.
I love the history aspect of it. I love the politics of it. It's really, really cool. Pat, thank you for joining us. Let people know where they can find you.
So, on this tag on the screen is my TikTok handle. I do a whole variety of contract. I have art series. I do graphic arts on the side. So I've been doing Star Wars inspired TikTok creators art where I take people who do Star Wars content and put them into art themed after Star Wars. I do a bunch of cosplays. I did throughout the whole House of the Dragon thing. I have a Damien Targaryen cosplay there. I'm currently making Blackfire to go. Not Blackfire. Dark Sister to go along with it.
I got it. Okay.
Yeah, and then I do I have a series where I try and build up where I pretend to be an ISP agent, and it's just a daily grind.
That's fascinating.
While everything is going on, it's just him doing it.
That's so funny. All right, man. I have to check that out. That sounds really good. Well, thanks again for joining us.
For the audio users, that username is st.pat St. Pat _ separatist rebel all spelled out.
And then I'm
Yeah.
also on Twitter. I'm trying to grow my following there on Twitter, and that's Saint Pat STPAT no space underscore of stars.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for coming on the show. And guys, until next time, Salaam nerds.
Peace.